So we started about above objects introduction, and we have discussed about so many things in above objects, various types of classes, various types of interfaces, and implementing interfaces and etc. So what about you? Have you done all the 7 or only up to 4?
No, all the 6. All the 6 classes.
All the 6, right? Can you share your screen?
Yeah, sure.
So I will go through that implementation coding team and what actually we try to achieve there. I will explain that. But after this, I will give you another exercise. The same thing you need to do in the global classes also. That is from SE24. Okay, if you have any challenges, I will help you out. Because this time you have implemented that locally inside a program as a local classes. Very good. So the execution, why the execution is not happening? Basically, when you are writing a program, in the program you will create some subroutines, you will create some classes like reusable objects, right? So those statements have to be separated from your main program. Declarations and implementations always should get separated from your main program execution. Otherwise, system cannot understand from where actually the execution should start. So your main program always should start the startup selection event. So right now in this program, why it is not actually able to get executed, the classes declaration, classes implementation is not separated from your main program. So the main program has to be begin with the startup selection event. So where is the main program starting here? Exactly. At line number 130. So all the above part is the declarations and implementations of classes. So let us write startup selection here. Then this is your main code. From here now it will be the system will understand that this is the main executable code. Now you check for the errors. You got it now? Right. So that is one issue and everyone has to understand that. And now let us go through our exercise. Each of the sections we will try to see here because the code is already written. Let us parallelly open the Word document also.
Okay.
So the task 1, zoom it up. Just increase little bit zoom. Everyone can able to read. Or zoom. Or even zoom. Yeah. Enough. Just to scroll up. So the task 1 is you have to create one interface. So you know that what is called interface. An interface will have only the definition part. Interface won't have implementation part. We don't implement the code for interfaces. We usually create interfaces for building the hierarchical structural development of your application. Interface will have only blank methods. That methods will not get implemented within the interface. Wherever you are implementing the interface, I mean to say, wherever you are using that interface in the other classes, there only you have to implement the respective methods of the interface. So in this exercise, we are actually asked to create one interface. The name of the interface is IF_status. Yeah, of course, IF stands for interface. Local objects we can create like that. Global objects we should start with G. This interface is going to have a method write_attributes. And what is that method is doing? Depends on how you implement that method in various classes. That is up to you. But they are asking for one blank method to have. The name of the method is write_attributes. So I hope this section is clear and the solution also given at the bottom. Like the classes interfaces we will create with the interface and interface. Only the definition, there is no implementation. Show me that in your code. Exactly. So we can create additional attributes, events also team here. In the interface, you can create attributes and events also if required. But in this exercise, we haven't created that. If you want, we can do that. And what is the name of the method? Write_attributes. You do remember that name of that method. But if you notice here, we have not implemented any code for the method here because we cannot write code for the interface methods within the interface. Any questions up to this point? Any questions, any clarifications required?
No.
Right, very good. So we are going step on step. So if you have any questions at any point, stop me there. We will continue, right? And then go to the documentation. So first task is completed. Next, go to the second task. So here they have asked you to create one class called CL underscore vehicle. Basically, in this program, so we need to create a class here, and class name is CL underscore vehicle. So basically, in this program, we are going to handle some kind of vehicles. One truck vehicle, one ship. So truck is a vehicle, car is a vehicle, ship is a vehicle, helicopter is also one vehicle. So like that, we are going to create so many different types of vehicles. They're all different classes. But to serve to all of that classes, I wanted to have one common class. I wanted to have some common class, which is basically helping for serving to the other classes. For that, what I have chosen, they ask you to create a vehicle class. So this is not about any particular vehicle. So we should not create object of this class. That's why we are creating this class as an abstract class. Because I told you in the last session, if it is an abstract class, we cannot create objects for that class. That is the first purpose of having an abstract class. And after that, we are going to use this class as a super class also. Of course, you don't require to make a class as a super class. You don't require to make a class as a super class. We cannot do that. The moment you create a subclass, automatically your first class will become like a super class. While declaring itself, there is no such kind of keyword that this is created as a super class. No, not like that. The moment you create a subclass, automatically the parent will become the super class. So in this class, what they asked to implement that interface IF underscore status, and also they asked to have two methods. Both are public methods, both are instance methods. That means not static methods, instance methods. One is a speed up, and another one is a stop. And also they ask to have a protected instance attribute speed. You see what is public, what is protected, everything is described clearly. We have to create. And also there is a parameter, and that two methods need to be implemented. How that methods to be implemented here? It is given. Speed up. That speed up method means you are increasing the speed of the vehicle. For example, the truck is now going with 40 kilometers. I wanted to increase the speed another 10 kilometers. So 40 plus 10, 50. Now I wanted to increase the speed for another 20 kilometers. Now I will pass 20. So 50 plus 20, 70. Like that, the vehicle speed will increase. If I give a negative value, vehicle speed will decrease. Okay, whenever I set stop, vehicle speed will become 0. So like that methods are implemented. That requirement is described there. Let us go to the implementation part. Let us go to the main program. Show me how you create it, right? Go down. So abstract is the keyword to create that class as an abstract class. And that interface we have implemented in the public section. So that means the method of that interface will automatically become the method of this class. And also we have another two methods. One is a speed up, that is having one importing parameter. Another method is stop, that does not have any import or export parameters. And there are two protected attributes we have taken. Why we taken protected? Because we wanted them to get inherited to the subclasses also. It is equal to private attributes only, but purposefully we have taken like protected for the inheritance purpose. One is a speed, another one is maximum speed. So speed means that is indicating what is the current speed your car is going. For example, your car is going currently with the 60 kilometers. That is your speed. So your car maximum can go up to 120 kilometer speed. That is the maximum capacity of your car. You just think like that. So that is the maximum speed. So both values we will maintain for your vehicle. If it is a ship, the maximum speed is only 50 kilometers per hour, because ship cannot go more than that speed in the waters. So Definitely. The maximum speed value is different for every vehicle. Helicopter maximum, it may go up to 500 kilometer speed per hour. So every different vehicle will have different values. But these are the attributes. Speed and maximum speed are indicating that speed is indicating the current speed the vehicle is going. The maximum speed is indicating what is the maximum speed that the vehicle can go up to. So these are the two attributes we maintain. Now, when it comes to implementation part, now, Srisa, you tell me how many methods are there now in this class, in this vehicle class? How many methods are there?
2 methods.
No,
3.
3 methods. 2 methods belongs to the class, and 1 method which is derived from the
Interface.
So compulsory, it is mandatory. You must implement the code for all the 3 methods. If you leave any one method not implemented, it will show the errors. So you must write the code for all the methods, whether it is blank also, but still even you have to write some code. You have to define the methods mandatorily in your implementation section. Let us go one after one. So the speed up method is how would we implemented. So I'm just increase. So in that code, I'm passing some accelerator, some value I'm passing, step value I'm passing. That means how much of speed I wanted to increase furthermore. So currently it is going with 40 kilometers. So I will call this method and I will pass 10. That means I wanted to increase the speed another 10 kilometers more, another 10 kilometers. Like that I'm increasing. Should I go and increase continuously like that? 600 kilometers, 800 kilometers? Definitely not. See, my car can go up to 120 kilometers. Suppose if I pass 500 value, current speed is 40, and I given 500 value. So 40 plus 500, 540. Now my car is going with 540 kilometers. Is it possible? Definitely not. So we are just blindly not increasing. We are checking also, is it crossing the maximum speed? In case after the incremental, if it is crossing the maximum speed, then we are setting that value only to maximum speed. That means even if you pass 500 also as an input value, still even that speed will be maintained like maximum speed only. That is what is the logic we implemented. The moment after increasing the speed value is crossing the maximum speed, I set speed equal to maximum speed. That 120 value, 150 value, whatever is the maximum speed value is there, which you will provide at the time of object creation, that only will set as a speed value. So no matter what, how much you are increasing, that vehicle cannot exceed more than its maximum speed. That is the logic. And stop method. That means vehicle you stopped. When you stopped the vehicle, what does that mean? The speed of the vehicle will become how much?
0.
0. That's it. That is called stop. When you stop means vehicle become vehicles. When vehicle speed is at least even 1 kilometer, so that means still vehicle is moving. So stop means you stopped the vehicle. Automatically the speed value you made it like 0. Okay. Then finally that interface method we implemented. And do remember this point, guys. When we are implementing the interface method is not like your class method. Interface method name always preceded with the name of the interface. To avoid that lengthy name, we will create some alias name. So we will see that later. But to differentiate, this is a class method and this is an interface method. Interface methods always preceded with the name of the interface also. That's the reason you wrote the name of the method. You see, method if underscore status, that tilde operator, right underscore attributes. That should be the complete name. When you are implementing or when you are calling, you have to do with the complete notation. You have to call the name of the interface method with the complete notation preceded by the name of the interface. There, we are just displaying the values. What is the current speed the vehicle is going? What is the maximum speed that vehicle can go up to? So that is the details that method is displaying up to this moment. So with that, section 2 is completed. Let's go to the third section. Now, so far the CL underscore vehicle class is basically not my actual class for which I can create objects, because it is an abstract class and it is just only having only half information, not about a complete details. But now the real vehicles I'm creating here, like I'm creating a truck class, I'm creating a ship class, I'm creating a helicopter class, I will create a train class. Definitely they're all indicating different types of vehicles. So some common data required for all these classes. Instead of I do create every time in every class independently, we have created that in the super class. So it is a good idea. We can directly inherit from the super class. So here, what is your super class name?
CL vehicle.
CL underscore vehicle. And the first subclass you are creating is
CL truck.
good. So in this class, what is asked for? Let us create, and they ask you to have a constructor also. And look at the third point. Redefine the interface method. This is very important, guys, for your next RAP programming. Redefine. What does that mean for? Does anyone have any idea what is called that redefine? What is called method redefining? Method define is there, but what is called method redefine?
We can define again a method in our way.
Where?
Right.
Inside the subclass.
Exactly. Say that completely. Say that like a full frame sentence so I can understand. Not I can understand however you say. Others also can understand, right? When you are saying something, if you can frame it like a complete sentence, that will be a good thing. What you said exactly right. Try to frame it like a sentence.
Yeah, we can define the same method again inside our subclass in our
Right.
own way. Yeah.
Right. See, guys, remember during the inheritance, the methods are coming from superclass to subclass. Absolutely, that is fine. But what I wanted is, I don't want the as it is code, what is implemented in my superclass, once again in my subclass also. Actually, method is inherited. That means that method belongs to superclass. That method already implemented in the superclass. But I want to add something more. There are two options. Either on top of the existing code, I wanted to add few more lines after that method inherited into my subclass. Either that, or I wanted to erase the old logic which is inherited into my subclass, and I wanted to completely rewrite a new logic. Both are possible. In both cases, it is called redefine only. For example, in this case, a write underscore attributes method is already implemented in the CL underscore vehicle. Guys, try to follow the naming what I am using. Okay. CL underscore vehicle is a common class we discussed. But I wanted to redefine that method once again in my subclass CL underscore truck. But how I wanted to redefine, I don't wanted to erase the whole implementation what is done before. For example, let me say like this. In the super class, that method already written with 100 lines of code. In the super class, that method is already written with some 100 lines of code. So I wanted that. That is a very important logic. But on top of that 100 lines of code, I wanted another 10 lines of additional code also I wanted to write. Yes, that is possible. How do we do that? We will see that in the code line. Okay, practical and the solution, we will see that. But I don't want the above 100 lines of code. That logic should not get executed when I'm calling from my subclass. Another fresh lines, another 20 lines of fresh coding I wanted to write. That is also possible. We'll see that. Similarly, other things also are defined there. And let us go to the implementation part. Let us go to the coding part. So have a look here what we try to do there. Truck class we are creating and inheriting from your superclass CL underscore vehicle. And this particular truck class is having a method, constructor method it has, So we created the constructor method. And another thing also, we have to explicitly mention, because you wanted to redefine that method. IF underscore write attributes redefinition, because you are going to redefine that method exclusively once again in this class. If we don't redefine, the original implementation code only will come here. You can directly use that. But as you wish to write something more, we did that. Now let us go to implementation. So in the constructor, that means constructor means it is a constructor of truck class. That means when a truck object I am creating, this constructor should work. When a truck object is creating, I wanted to set up some values for truck objects exclusively, because it is a constructor that will call whenever a truck object is getting created. We can create a truck object because it is a normal class only. Vehicle is only abstract class. Truck is a normal class only. So there, for all of my trucks in my company, the current speed is something maximum speed. I wanted to set up like 100 kilometers, something like that. So that we defined in the constructor. I told you, whenever your subclass is having a constructor, it is mandatory rule. You must call the constructor of the superclass, no matter what, whether your superclass is having any constructor or not, secondary, but you must call the constructor of the superclass. So in this example, is your superclass is having a constructor? In this example, is your superclass had a constructor or not? What is the superclass? In this example, what is the superclass? Go to the superclass. Priyanshu, go to the superclass.
Superclass is a. Can you go up a bit more? Yeah, superclass is a CL underscore vehicle.
Right. Is it have a constructor?
No.
No. So guys,
Yes.
notice down, this superclass have no constructor. But still, when you come to the subclass, let's go to subclass. When your subclass is having a constructor, in the implementation of that constructor, you see there, you called the superclass constructor exclusively. Did you? Line number 56. We have to call the constructor of your superclass, okay, whether it has or not, secondary. If you comment this line and check it out, comment this line and check the errors, check the syntax errors. What it is saying, read it out.
In the constructor method, instant attribute, instant method, or me can be accessed only after the constructor of the superclass.
You must call the super constructor in your subclass. Right?
Yeah.
Close it out. Check that, fix that. Okay, I called the superclass constructor, and secondly, maximum speed value I set to 100 within the constructor. That means every truck will have maximum speed. How much, guys?
100.
100. That we are setting up at the time of object creation in the constructor. Fantastic. Now let us come to the method redefinition. IF status write attributes. We said now I wanted to redefine that method. So how do I wanted to redefine? I wanted the original coding as it is, but on top of that, I wanted to display something more. So you tell me originally what is the code of that method? Originally what that method is doing? Show me where it is. So originally that method is implemented in such a way to display the speed value and the maximum speed value. So what I wanted is, okay, that is maybe 2 lines. You just think like that is 200 lines. That 200 lines of code, I don't want to erase. I mean, I don't want to miss out. I wanted that lines of code, whether it is 2 lines or 200 lines. Secondly, I wanted that code, but additionally, I wanted to have something more. If that is the scenario, Let's go down. Let's go down. Come down. In the redefinition part, so I have displayed like I wanted to display some heading like truck that is not there in the original implementation. You see in line number 61, you wrote some new line, right? Okay, so
Yes.
truck, I wanted to display some, so that is your additional logic. And after that, the same old original logic should come here. So instead of you write that statements once again, that original coding, original 2 lines or 200 lines of implementation, what is originally there, if you wanted to get that executed again, once again here, you have to call that way. Super, with the super keyword, the same method you have to call. That means in the super class, what was implemented, that piece of code will be called here. That piece of code will get executed here. In case if you don't call like this, in case if you don't make that line number 62, what will happen? You comment out that line. Then what will happen? Tell me.
No error.
No, it won't be any error. I'm saying what is the impact if I don't make that statement?
Only truck gets written.
Superclass method won't be executed.
What then? What will be executed?
Only the
truck will be
subclass-
written.
Sorry,
Only the subclass method will be executed. Only truck will be printed.
only truck will be printed. Very good. Only that message, because you don't want the old style, old code. You have replaced that with some new code. Number of lines are secondary, but only this new code only will execute when you call with the truck object. The original implementation code you are not going to consider here. But if you wanted to consider the old code also, then you have to make that statement. That statement you can write before also, after also, anytime. So after I display the truck message, I wanted that original coding also to get executed. So you have to explicitly invoke that. That invoking we do with the keyword called super. Let us uncomment that. So this is called redefine. In the redefinition, if you don't make that super statement, you are not considering the old code. You are only writing the new. You are wishing to write only the some lines of new code. But after you write some lines of new code, you wanted to reuse that existed code also. No matter any time, maybe at the beginning or maybe at the end, wherever you want, you can just simply call that original implementation also with the keyword called super. So this is the two way we can do method redefinition. All right, let us go to the next section. Did we cover everything? I think other two methods. I think we covered everything. Let us go up. I think one method we missed out. Method redefinition is also done, right? That's it only, no?
Yes,
No,
that's it. That's it.
Okay,
Constructor and redefinition.
okay. In the document, scroll up little. I think I saw one more. No, scroll down. Truck. Yeah. That's okay. You're right. Next, we are creating another class that is also again a subclass which we are creating from the vehicle class. So see, this is one more subclass. So this is indicating that from one superclass, you can create any number of subclasses. So now we are creating another class called ship class. Again, for trucks, we don't have any name. All trucks are trucks, but usually my ship, every ship will have some names. So I wanted to name every of my ship. One ship is Titanic, one ship is Morning Glory, one ship name is Rockstar, one ship name is Blue Whale, something like that. Usually, very big ships, they will have some titles, isn't it? So I wanted to have a name attribute also for every of my ship. But usually vehicle class is having two attributes, speed, maximum speed. Of course, those are commonly required attributes for every vehicle. But independent of that, every subclass can have their own attributes also. My truck class does not have any additional attributes, but my ship class wanted. So my ship class wanted to have an attribute called name. So because every ship we wanted to name it. Similarly, my ship cannot go with the maximum speed 100. I wanted to set my ship to maximum speed is only 50. And third one is in the ship class, for example, we wanted to create some event. What is called event? ABAP is a business programming language, you know that. In business applications, always there will be so much of collaboration required between various programs, between various modules. So to establish some kind of connectivity between various processes, these events will be useful. Even in SAP ABAP, I'm not sure you are aware or not, we have a concept called workflows, business workflows, flexible workflows, BTP workflows, we will call it about. So those workflows basically we do develop. Even you guys as an ABAPers, after gain some experience, can work on that workflows concept. That is to automate the business process one after one kind of thing we do develop. It is a flow of the work, automation. Similarly, here, events we do use to fire some alarm, to trigger some alarm. And there will be so many subscribers to that event. So all the subscribers who are registered for that event, they will automatically respond to that event. I will tell you in a general use case. For example, there is a school.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
There is a school. In school, there is a five-floor building. Exactly at morning 11:30, they will give a bell. They will ring a bell. That bell is an event actually. When that event happened, 3 times they will ring the bell. When that bell is ring 3 times, all 20 classrooms will respond to that. Isn't it? They are event handlers. That means it is indicating that some event happened. They are already informed that whenever that happened, all of you should evacuate your classroom, or all of you should take a break. When this sound comes, this is the action to be done. When this sound comes, so that sound is actually one event. When that event happened, whoever given the responsibility for that event, they all will react. For example, there is another kind of special ring as put up there. When that bell rang, class students will not get out of the classroom. All the staff members have to attend at principal room or at assembly area. Only teachers, not the students. That is a different event. So for every event, how do we react? How do we respond? That will be so. Those people who already informed that when this event happened, this is the action to be taken. They are event receivers, event handlers or event receivers. Event will be triggered by somebody. There will be multiple receivers, and all the receivers will automatically respond, react to that event. This is a very common scenario that will happen in our real life. Similar way, in business applications also, when we are developing the applications, for example, I have created one purchase order in the system. A new purchase order created. Somebody log into SAP system, They went into that T code, ME21N, and then they created a new order. The moment the new order saved in the system, do you know what will happen? One event will fire in the code. You can see that. When that event reacted, automatically lot of things will happen in the background. That means lot of programs are executed automatically. How? Because all the programs are already informed, subscribed to this event. When that event happened, these 20 programs should automatically get executed in the background. They will get executed, the respective actions also will be taken care of. Like that, so much of integration already defined in our SAP systems. When the delivery happened, the goods actually collected from your, godown. When the delivery happened, the goods already collected from the storage location, right? So that the inventory value automatically should come down. The moment the goods delivery is created, automatically the stock value will come down. Why? Because there is a separate program. That program will automatically respond when this event happened, and that program will decrease the current volume of the goods count according to the delivery count. So many things will get interconnected like that in the concept of events. Similarly, the same thing we can do in our ABAP classes also. Event is an action that we can create in a class. That event will get fired. When that event fired, there will be other classes, maybe in the same class or maybe in some other classes. There are some methods which are subscribed as a event receivers, as a event handlers for this event. So event belongs to a different class. That class will trigger the event. Whenever that event trigger, automatically in your system, another 40, 50 classes will react because they are already subscribed to this event. That means they're waiting when that event will come. Usually you see in our college days also, our ears always will look for the bell sound to ring. We are waiting. When that event happened, immediately we will act on that. Event happened somewhere, but we are responding to that event. The same thing we can experience here. So here in this example, my ship is a class. Suppose my ship is sailing in the waters. My ship hit, some accident happened to my ship. So my ship is sinking now. So during that time, my ship class fired one event. Just it is firing one event. Firing we can say, or triggering we can say. It triggered one event. Just it won't do anything, just it triggers the event. But for that event, already there are some event handlers are defined in the system. Immediately they will respond. In that class, how we are executing, we have a helicopter class because rescue team. So when my ship is sinking, immediately they triggered one event, right? That event is actually triggered in the ship class, but there is another class is there called helicopter. Immediately one helicopter object will get created. That means helicopter started. That is called helicopter object. Then automatically that helicopter object will go there and will go to that location and will save them. But how my helicopter knows the location of the ship? When that event happened, that event is passing some parameters, exactly the geographical coordinates. That will come as an input to my helicopter class. By using that coordinates, my helicopter object will know where is the ship currently exactly. It will go there and it will save the people from there. That is a rescue operation it is doing. Same thing, man, in our applications also. We will exactly implement the real cases only here. These are not designed for to develop some games. These are all designed for addressing our real needs, our real business requirements. Exactly the same thing we do here. So that is the one. In the ship class, we are creating an event. That event we will fire when the event when my ship is actually damaged. So when is my ship is damaging? For example, my ship maximum speed is 50. So when I'm crossing my ship speed maximum more than 50, that means I increased the speed more than maximum speed. The moment I do that, my ship definitely will damage. Okay, that situation we are taking. When the speed value is increased to the maximum speed value of the ship, we are firing one event. because that is indicating that my ship broken, my ship got damaged. Then we are triggering one event. Once we trigger the event, automatically your helicopter class, your helicopter object will get respond to that. That is what we try to do in our program. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
See, why we have taken this kind of example? Because to explain the concept more realistical way, more easiest way to understand the scenario. Otherwise, with a general way of example, if you take that may not create that impact. Let us go to the coding. Now here in this class, my ship class is having a special attribute. Attribute name is name. It is a public attribute. Why I taken it as a public attribute? I wanted to use it directly, but at the same time, I don't want it to change it directly. I want to use it directly for display purpose, but I don't want it to change that. So that one we can achieve by using a read-only attribute. This is also one question. Usually in interviews, they will ask, your team leads will ask. I wanted to have a public attribute, but as it is a public attribute, anybody can change that value. I want a public attribute for easy access, but I don't want it to allow the people to change that value. So that we can achieve by creating that attribute as a read-only attribute. Though it is a public attribute, but still even you can use it only for reading, but not for writing a new value directly with the object name. And also one constructor, and that constructor is having one importing parameter. Did you notice here? It is not a blank constructor. It is a constructor with parameter. Earlier was only constructor, but it is constructor with parameter. That means every time when you are creating an object, you must pass this parameter. And also method redefinition and speed up redefinition. And also we created one event, which is the keyword events. And the name of the event is damaged. Damaged is the name of the event. Only we will declare. Let us go to the coding implementation. In the constructor, first anyhow you know that the superclass constructor we should call. And after that, so for all of my ship classes, I wanted to set the maximum speed maybe 30 or 40, something like that. And whatever is the importing parameter that I received in the constructor, I have set that to with the attribute. And did you notice here why that me name equal to name is there? Who will tell the why we written like that?
We are setting the value inside the subclass, whatever we have passed in the constructor.
We have created object of the particular class and calling the name and assigning the name.
Why two names are there? And why we used me?
Me is a one type of instance of particular class.
Good. That is the implicit instance of that class.
Yes.
So what is the attribute name? What is the attribute in the ship
Name
class?
is the attribute.
Name. And what is the parameter name?
Name. Both are name.
Exactly. Both are two different things, but we have taken both same names. Name. So the system will give the preference to the attribute name only. So that's why if you write name equal to name, attribute value will not copy, parameter will not copy it into attribute. If you don't write me there, if you write name equal to name, that assignment will not take place. The parameter will not copy it into your attribute because both are name. You change the attribute name here. Change the attribute, not in the code. Change the attribute name in the sense you have to change in the method declaration, you should change. Give some different name. Not there. Importing before type, you should type. Right. So there, how the code will come? Exactly. In that case, you don't require me. See guys here, name equal to?
V name.
So the parameter v name will be assigned to your attribute name. It works, but just to demonstrate another use case, in case if both names are same, then how do we handle? For that, we have taken this. Otherwise, if it is a different names, that v name can be assigned to your name. Here, the left-hand side name is indicating the attribute. The right-hand side v name is indicating the parameter. You got it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Let us go to the implementation for right attributes also. Yeah. So here what we try to do, we are displaying the name. Again, redefinition, same old style. We are displaying the name of the ship also here and the speed up method. But here the logic for speed up method is changed differently. Last time in the truck class, when the truck is increasing the maximum speed, we set the speed value to maximum speed. That means we are keeping that maximum speed only as the maximum limit. But here, when the speed is increased to the maximum speed, that means my ship crossed its capacity. During that time, so I should drive it very carefully. If I increase that, I cannot bring it back. My ship will broken. So something happened wrong. So the speed value, unfortunately, by mistaken, I have increased more than its capacity. So the engine got failed. So my ship is not working anymore. So we did that here. If the speed value is increased at the maximum speed, then immediately the maximum speed we set to 0, and stop method also we called to set the speed value to 0, and finally we raised the event. Raise event damaged. We are triggering the event. When we are triggering the event, when the ship actually crossed its maximum speed. And if you notice here, you see in the speed up method, I'm calling another method stop method. One method can call other method also. I can call other methods in another methods. One method you can call in other method. So actually in the speed up method, I'm calling the method called stop to set the speed value to 0. Finally, we trigger the event also. Go down. See what happened here. I just triggered the event only. I said raise event damaged. But I don't know what will happen after raising the event. After raising event, what will happen? Who will come? That is depend on who are actually subscribed to that event. If nobody subscribed, just event only will fire. Event only will fire. Nothing will happen because nobody subscribed about that event. No one subscribed about that event. That means there are no receivers. No one will react. There is no action of that event. It will be like that. So here only event is raised, but we are not sure who will react to that event. That will come up in the next explanation. So now we are creating a class called CL_helicopter. And by the way, this is not a subclass of my vehicle class. This is a separate class. And in this class, we are taking a static constructor. Why we are taking a static constructor is, so this is a little tricky concept. I wanted to create a CL_helicopter class as a singleton class. This is also another example, guys. Singleton class. What is called singleton class? Any idea? Singleton class.
No, sir, class.
Singleton in the sense like only one object is created. Can be.
Yeah, sorry, you are saying something. So
One
single
object is
right. So singleton class means for a class you can create only one object. Only one object, only one instance it can have. It cannot have two objects. Like that, if you wanted to make up, you have to create that class as a singleton. But there is no such keyword directly to define like it is a singleton class. We have to achieve that by a different way that we try to do here. There is no such keyword. So, okay, this is a singleton class, like that to say. So we have taken a class constructor to create a self object. That self object reference only it will return always. So always it will return the reference of the same object only. And that object we are not creating explicitly in our program. That class itself will create its own object. And every time it will give the address of the same object. That means forever you will have only one object created for that class. That is how we are achieving the singleton nature. How did we do that? We have created a static constructor here. The name is class underscore constructor. That static constructor will be called only at once. That is the difference. Normal constructor will called every time when you are creating a new object. Static constructor will called only one time in the lifetime of that class. Only one time in the lifetime of that class. That is for the very first time when you are using that class, that time only the static constructor will call. That static constructor is creating the object of that class. That object address only we are getting every time back by using another method called getReference. And finally, that helicopter class is having a method as a event handler method. That method we will subscribe to the damaged event of the ship class. That method will automatically trigger whenever my ship is sinking. Let us go down to the code. Go to the coding part. So class underscore constructor is a method. It is a static constructor. Static constructor will be called only once in the lifetime of the class. Instance constructor will be called for every instance, but static constructor is not like that. And also another method I have taken getReference, which is returning the address of my object which is created for the helicopter class. Then interface we implemented separately. There is a method receive. So that is the event handler method of the helicopter class. That is the event handler method. So you have to mention clearly. So that is a for event. So that is a method. That is not a normal method. That is a event handler method for the event. What is the event name? Damaged. Of which class? CL underscore ship. And that ship class is having a public attribute now name. That name value also it will automatically import here. Importing sender you taken to that sender automatically the class, the ship object will automatically come and assign to this sender attribute. Because of which object that event triggered, that object address will automatically come here. That is by default nature of events. So in this class, the receive method is going to play the role as a event handler method for the ship class. Now let us go to the implementation. And there is a static attribute I have taken, class data heli of type reference to same internal class. And I have taken another attribute caller to come to know the name of the ship, because of which my helicopter object triggered. Then you see in the static constructor class underscore constructor, we have created the object, create object heli. Heli is a attribute. You see static attribute. That means helicopter object is created. Helicopter object is created by whom? By the static constructor. How many times static constructor will be called? Only once in the lifetime. That means it will create only one object, heli. Object name is heli. Is the reference variable is heli. And every time I will get that address only. Because in my company, I have only one helicopter. Even if two ships also sinking, I cannot send two helicopters. I have only one helicopter. After it rescue one ship, it has to go to the another ship, like that only. So I wanted to, because practically that's not possible for me to have two helicopter objects, because we don't have, in the real life also we don't have. So we have taken like that. And in the attribute, I'm displaying that method, write attributes method, helicopter called by that caller. So caller means that ship name. In the next method receive, you see that I have copied the name of the ship into that attribute called caller. And if you observe here, IF status write attributes, I did not call the speed, maximum speed. Original implementation I did not invoke again here. I completely redefined here. Redefined in the sense I have completely implemented newly here. There's no point of redefinition anyhow here, because this is freshly implemented in this class. This is not a subclass. Helicopter is not a subclass of vehicle. Isn't it? Did you see? Is there any superclass? For heli, did you notice any superclass? And finally, startup selection. Let's come to the main code. Then I created one truck object. I created one ship object. I created another. Ship object is reference variables. Ship 1, ship 2, 2 ships I have taken. One helicopter object reference I have taken. For the interface, I have taken one attribute, one reference variable called status, and I have taken one internal table also, LT underscore status, like table of status. Like it is an internal table of references of your interface reference. Then we started creating truck object. But when we are creating the ship objects, did you notice the ship objects? We are exclusively passing the ship name, because that constructor, it has a constructor with importing parameter. So compulsory you must pass. Without passing a name, you cannot create a ship object, because that is having a constructor with a importing parameter, mandatory. Then after that, helicopter object I cannot create directly, because that is only possible by getting the reference of the existed helicopter object within the class. So that address of the existed object we are getting by using the method getReference. GetReference method is also there in the helicopter class. Why am I not able to create a class here? Why can't I write to create object heli? Create object heli. You go to the helicopter class. You have made that class as a private class. You go there. You see here definition. You see here, create private. When it is, so for classes also you can do that, guys. Instantiation. Create private means you cannot create object of that class anywhere else other than within the class itself. That is called create private. Create protected also you can write. This is not for attribute level, this is at the class level. If you say create protected, you can create the object of that class within its subclasses. Only the public classes only you can create the objects. Your truck is a public class, or ship is a public class, because that is by default. You don't need to mention. But helicopter is a private class. A private class can create object only within itself. That's the reasons we are creating the object of that class within the class, and that reference only we are sending it outside. But outside directly you cannot create object for helicopter class. You go to the main code. For example, you try there, create object heli. You type that statement. Yeah, after heli, or just before heli, you type create object heli. Full stop. Check for the errors. Yeah, heli is a reference variable. Yeah, it should allow you. Okay, above we changed the name, na? Change it back to vname. We change it. Yeah, here you can change directly vname.
Where?
Anywhere. You can change in the class or you can change in the code. Yeah, change in the class. And change the attribute also. Yeah, the parameter. And check for errors. Now you see there. Why so? Because it is a private class. Got it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, comment that line. And after that, I have appended all that truck object, ship object, helicopter object, everything to IT underscore status. It is an internal table with the reference variables. But if you notice there, all of them are internal table of your interface. So you can go through your loop statement. Hey, did you not write the remaining code?
I think it was not saved. I think that's why.
Yeah, okay. So do it up, copy and paste it.
It will not be copied from here, I think.
Type it. First set handler also do. Set
Yeah,
handler
sure.
also.
Set handler, daily receive.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
Call to helicopter.
Yeah. So what happened is that so truck is displayed. You see the output, truck is displayed. Currently, truck is going with the current speed 60 kilometers, maximum speed 100 kilometers. If you try to increase more speed to truck, also even there won't be any damage. There are two ships. One is Titanic. The current speed is 20, maximum speed is 30. But there is another ship called INS Vikrant, but that ship speed is 0, maximum speed 0. That means that ship got damaged. And also you displayed a message helicopter called by which ship? INS Vikrant. Why helicopter called by INS Vikrant? Because the damaged event triggered by INS Vikrant only. That ship name, the name of that ship, we already imported. We received for your helicopter object. That will automatically come here. That name we already copied into that caller attribute in the helicopter class. In fact, that message is actually displayed by helicopter class. INS Vikrant name is displayed by helicopter class, not by the ship class. If you see the code, so come back to the code. And if you notice here another thing, this is called polymorphism, guys. You see the method in the loop at statement write attributes. That method write attributes are displayed only with status. But how it is displaying the data of truck, the data of ship, the data of helicopter, it is displaying the data belongs to various objects. But in your code, the method you are calling is only one. Status write underscore attributes. But that status is actually in the loop at internal table. Every time it is getting that, first time it is getting the address of truck. Next it is getting the address of ships. Next it is getting the address of helicopter. Like that, because I told you that point, interface reference can be used to point to the objects of the classes, whichever implemented that interface. Polymorphism. Because of that concept only, if you come to the last statement, come down to the last statement. The status write attributes is only one method. The code is only one, but it is displaying the data belongs to various objects. One-time truck, one-time ship, one-time helicopter. It is displaying the data belongs to various objects because, but you are using the same reference variable. How that is possible? That is because of the polymorphism. It looks once, but execute different things because all that classes implemented that method write attributes. All that classes used that method write attributes. Exactly in the real developments also, in our classes, most of the times we will implement the methods of the interfaces only. So that with the reference of interfaces, we can able to call them very conveniently. Because purchase orders, sales orders, materials, deliveries, business applications are so huge. In all the applications, there is a method display. Display means always it is display only. Create, always it is create only because that display, that create, all that methods are derived into all these classes from some common set of interfaces. Like that, you will be having so much of uses by having the interfaces. Initially, it looks like very blank. Anyhow, we are writing the code in the classes only. But still, even why do we need interfaces is because of this. The implementation, the uses will become so simpler for you. Instead of you call the methods and remember different names of different methods and forgetting about the parameters of the methods, all that can be avoided by implementing some common interfaces across number of classes in the real developments. This is how things will work, team. As I said, it is a very vast subject. There are so many things still there to learn, to explore in object-oriented programming. Definitely, I will share some useful links and materials also with you. You spend your time on, exploring and doing some more practice and finding out more things about object-oriented programming. And finally, there is one part about exception handling. I will cover that. With that, we will conclude above objects contained by. So, team, I will explain that set handler, why we did write that set handler one. But you continue creating these things as a global class and global interface and implement that. If you're not able to do any of that sections, I will help you. Finally, I will explain why set handler is implemented. You continue creating the global classes for the set. Yeah, guys, tell me.
Sir, during creation of global class, we have to make an interface here. So there are three options regarding the interface. One is abstract, one is final, and one is model. So what kind of interface is the one we are using?
No, for interface creation, you don't need to choose any one of that directly. Share me your screen. That will not come for interfaces. Are you sharing the screen? See, first you have to create the interface. Did you create the interface first? No, not this way. Not this way. You are creating the class. You are creating the class. Okay, this is a class. This is not interface. First, you have to create interface. After that, that interface you should implement in the class from here. But before you use it like this, first you should create interface also as a separate object. I will tell. Come back. Every one of you look at here. Interface is a separate object. Class is a separate object. Both you have to create separately. First, you have to create one interface explicitly. After that, that one you can use in any of your classes. So here, first time when you are creating the interface, see it is a G object, global object. So compulsory it should start with Z, right? You cannot create with I now.
Status.
Yes. So this is how you can create one new interface first. Click on save. It has already existed. Somebody has created, because all of you are creating with same names. So you better follow this way. Wait. All of you use some numbering. I will give you some numbering, guys. You follow that notation, ZIF underscore status underscore 0001, like that you put some numbers. Let me give some numbers in the alphabetical order. So you follow that numbering like this, guys. so that there will not be any naming conflict among your objects. Now click on save. Click on local object. Click on, okay, that is that class you will separately create. You first open that interface. ZIF underscore, the one you created now. So all of you follow that numbering, whatever is given to you. Click on change.
Z underscore
ZIF only. You given ZIF only. No, I think you given ZIF only. Yeah. Click on change. Yeah. Now you are in the interface. You see here, this is the interface. You have to create this. You have to activate this. After that, you should go for creation of the classes. So in this interface, what is the method we should have?
Right underscore
attributes. Add that method. Go to label, public method, instance at static. Go to label, instance method only. Right, and just you can write some description. Modeling not required. You just leave that box. Just you can write display the attributes. Just write some description. Display attributes. Save it. Check for the errors. No errors, then activate it. So with that, you have created one global interface separately, right? Now you ignore the other classes. Now after this, you have to create what is the next step? You have to create a CL underscore vehicle, and that is also abstract class. Yeah. So create ZCL underscore vehicle underscore 02. Go to class creation. ZCL underscore vehicle underscore 02. See, remaining guys, I gave you numbers. You also create your classes with your respective suffix number. Now this is a class, right? Okay. Abstract vehicle class, something description you can write. Right. Now, what did I ask in the question? What type of class is it? Is it a public class or an abstract class?
Abstract.
There you have the option abstract. 1 second, guys.
It will not be final, right?
You created, no? It is an abstract class. It is a normal class only. No, it's not final class. If you make it final class, what will happen? You cannot create subclasses. But you are going to create subclasses, right?
Yes.
So we should not make it like a final class here. Isn't it?
Yes.
If it is made as a final class, then you cannot create subclasses for that. But we are going to create subclasses for this class. So we should not, and we should not make it like a final. Save. Local object. Now this is your new class. In this new class, what is the first step? You have to implement that interface. Same what you did in the local program, the same thing. First, you have to implement that interface in this class. How do we implement an interface in a class? For that, you should go to that interfaces tab. So there, you should write the name of your interface. Hey, what is your name of your interface? You are in global objects. IF status does not know by anybody. Enter. You see that description also will come here because it is already activated, right? Now the method of this interface will automatically appear now under your methods. You go and check. Go ahead and check the methods tab.
Method section.
Yeah, you can see here the name of that interface already arrived in your class, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now in this class, what else we should do? We have to add two attributes and we have to add two more methods also. Now you go, continue the description. All of you follow the description and try to do that. Wherever you have challenges, I will help you out.
Okay.
Try to go through the description, exercise task. The same thing, whatever we did there, we did locally through the coding. Here we are creating through navigation, and that is also globally, global classes. After that, whatever you have to continue do that one. So for speed and max speed, we have taken integer data type only. So you can take like int2, int4. There are some data types like that in globally. You can take out that. Go to your share your screen. So if there are any issue, I can help. Every one of you, not only one guy, every one of you, unless you do it on the system, you cannot get the confidence on the subject. It will take time, but do it, try it out. It will give you more warnings and more errors. Let it come. Otherwise, then only you will come to know the options available there. So data type, you can type integer 2. No, not here. Close this, close this. You should not typing you should not change. Typing always should be typed. See, typing don't change to int, type, type, type. Yeah. On the next one, yeah, associated type, here you should have to. So you can go and find all the standard data types here. Search for see, these are all very advanced ones. You type into 2 there. You can search for data elements also. You can find that into 2. You type into 2. Enter. Continue. It is a 2-byte integer. Like that, into 4 is also there. 4-byte integer is there. But anyhow, for us, 2-byte integer is enough. And similarly, another attribute also. So team, like, yeah, you implemented that interface also, method redefinitions also. So how many tasks have you done?
Sir, I've created the interfaces and the CL vehicle class, super class.
CL vehicle class implemented that interface. Did you create the subclass also?
No, not yet, sir.
Okay. Do you know how to create the subclass in global?
See, using the SE24, we'll go back and we'll create a class with the Z.
Yeah. But where do you provide the superclass name?
In the properties, we have a super class button.
Right. We have to do that. And do you know the place for method redefinition?
In the
Here you have-
method, there is above.
Above, go to the top section. There is a button called superclass. You have to click on that button. Then it will give you the provision for entering the superclass name. So there you have to type the superclass name. And maximum you can have only one superclass for a class. I mean, you cannot create subclasses from more than one superclass. But the same class you can use as a superclass for so many subclasses. It is vice versa. And also method redefinition. How do we do the method redefinition? Go to methods.
Sir, what is the use of this modeled only checkbox?
No, modeled only is basically to indicate that used for only inheritance, not to be used directly in the class. Like a template. It's like a template. Basically, that is indicating that it is created for study purpose, but not for users purpose, like that. Modeled we don't use. Modeled we don't use. And methods, when you go, if you select any one method, then there is a last button you see on top of the method there are so many icons, right? Now if you go to that last but one icon, you can see a button called redefinition. Now go to the next one after searching buttons. Yes, that is for method redefinition. You can select a method, you can click on that method. Of course, in this class you don't redefine. Once if we create the subclasses, there we will redefine, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Let us create one subclass also. And so this is completed exercise number 2, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Let us complete 3 also and hold on that. After completing number 3 also, remaining 3 you can do it on your own post completion of this training. But let us complete exercise task number 3 also, so that I will get a guarantee that you are able to do the remaining things also on your own. And after that, we will continue with the exception classes. Let's continue with task number 3. Yes, Steve. Done? Are you done?
Yes, sir. I've created the subclass also.
Right. Well, so in the similar way, we complete the remaining 3 exercises also about event handler methods and everything. And how do you make one method as a event handler method? For doing that, you have to go to the properties of the method, and there you will see the details of that method. Yeah, select one method and go to properties. Okay, so there if you come down, if you scroll down, you further come down. Go
This
up.
is a class.
Oh, you came to the properties of the class. No? Go to the properties of the method. Go to methods. Then for the methods, you see there is one. Yeah, go to properties. Yeah, go there. So if you go there, so is it a public method or a static method or is it an abstract method or a final method you are making? No? So what is called final method? If you make a method as a final method, that means you cannot redefine that method in the subclasses. So you know final class. Final class means you cannot create a subclass. Similarly,
Yes.
final method is another option. If it is a final method, that means you cannot redefine that method in its subclasses. Okay, so there you noticed it, right? Final method and exception method and event handler method. All the options you will see there. If you wanted to event handler, you see you have to select that checkbox event handler for, and about that ship class and about that damaged event you have to mention here. Okay, so from which class and which event you wanted to make this method as a event handler method, you need to write that details over there. So like that you can define. Still, even if any options, if you're not able to find it out, ask me. I will show you that. I hope I given all the options. So now you can able to create all the classes and also can able to write the required coding and other things and use these global classes from your program. Same like the yesterday program you created and tested. In the similar way, you have to create a separate program and in that program create the objects from these global classes and try to execute that, and similar kind of output you can able to experience. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And the next concept is called exception classes. So what is exception class? Have you created any function modules before? SA37 function modules?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right, you know that. In the function modules, SA37, yeah, someone share your screen. Let us go to SA37. Have we created any function module? Let's create one simple function module. Did you create that function group? Do you have that function group already created?
No, sir.
So function module we cannot create without a function group. Okay, click on save button. Click on save button. You will come to know that. Because that function group does not exist. Before you create a function, you have to create a function group. And after that, that function group you need to activate. After that only you can create a function module. So you keep this screen here. Yeah, cancel that here for now. You open a new session. Go to SCIT, the T code SCIT. Team, remember, function modules we cannot create without having a active function group. So in SCIT, you choose the option function group. On the top list, class interfaces is there. No, there go to function groups. And then provide some name here for the function group name. G function group underscore 02, whatever naming. Okay, right. Click on enter. Say yes. Go for save. Okay. Now this function group you need to activate also. How do we activate? Double click on the function group name. On the right hand side, it will get open. Just right click on the function group and click on activate button. Close this box. The function group got created. Now right click on that. Then go to activate. So function group should get activated before you actually create a function module. Now go to SE37. There you can provide a function group name, provide some short text. Yeah, that's okay. That warning will come, you continue. No. Every time that message will come as it is a warning only, we can ignore that. You will continue. So one function module also will look like a normal class method. There also you will have import parameters. There also click on continue symbol, green symbol. Yeah. So you see, you will find very similarities. Of course, function module is equal to like your class method. Your class method is there in a class. Function module is there in a function group. So function group you can compare with a class as like a holder, right? But there you can create instances. So here you cannot create instances. So it is a very static thing, very flat thing. Function module is a procedural way of doing. But object class and methods are object-oriented way of doing. But before classes and methods, so this is the only way we had done that code reusability. We'll create some function modules so that these function modules we can use in various of our programs. Again and again, the same piece of code you can able to reuse. Right? That is the concept of a function module. Why do we have function modules? Why do we need function modules?
Yeah, code reusability and
Code reusability, exactly. It's a modularization. One is about to modularize the code. That means divide the code into some individual piece of blocks. We are actually able to achieve the modularization. And secondly, reusability. So we can reuse the same code by calling that function module in many programs. So this function module we can call by using the statement call function. Like class methods, here also you will have import parameters, export parameters, and everything. Finally, when you go to that tab called exceptions, so you do one thing. Let us create one import parameter and one export parameter here quickly. Just import parameter I underscore v1, I underscore name, something. Just create some importing parameter. I underscore name. I underscore v1, I underscore v2. V1, V2. No, remove the name. Remove the name. Just name it underscore V2. Okay. So both are of type. Let us put some string type or integer type. Type I into 2. Here also into 2. So these are your two import parameters. Let us define some export parameter also.
Our comprehensive student metrics ensure top-notch learning experiences. We track engagement through attendance, participation, and video interactions. Performance is measured via quiz scores and assignment submissions. We monitor learning behaviors, including time spent and revisit patterns. Our metrics cover social learning, course completion rates, and even post-course success. With technical data on platform usage and device information, we optimize every aspect of your learning journey.
E underscore V3. Export parameter now we'll define with E. E underscore V3. Of type into 2. No, enough. Only one is enough. Not like that. You have to click on the minus symbol. Yeah. So this is your export parameter. So you have to input to one export. Similarly, you can take. You click on that minus sign. Plus and minus. Yeah. Right. So you can have multiple import parameters, multiple export parameters. Changing parameter means changing will behave for both in importing and exporting also. So changing parameters you can import, and finally that will get exported. That is the use of changing. Tables parameters, earlier we used to use the tables especially for importing and exporting internal tables, but now SAP is not recommending that. We almost stopped using tables. Even internal tables also we are using in importing parameters and exporting parameters only. We stopped actually using that tables option furthermore. Earlier we used to have that option especially for internal tables, for importing and exporting the internal tables, but now SAP is not recommending that. Instead, they are saying internal tables also you do with only import parameters and export parameters. Yeah, internal tables also we can import from the import section. Internal tables also we can export from the export section or even from the changing section also. Finally, you will go to exceptions. What is exceptions? Any idea?
Exception like when
Any unwanted error.
Correct.
Custom.
Right. So
Error handling.
Error handling part. So normally what will happen? User is giving some input. We are doing some calculation. Finally, we are exporting something. But what all the times user may not give the correct input, right input only. So during that time, we cannot execute our function module because that input itself is invalid. So when it is invalid, I don't want my function module to proceed further. So it is a wrong data. Why should I execute all my function module coding? Instead of that, I wanted to terminate my function module. I don't want to, I come to know that there is something wrong in the input itself. So why should I execute 10,000 lines of code in my function module? You just think like there is 1,000 lines code. Is there any sense for executing the 1,000 lines code with wrong data? No. So I wanted to stop there. We can stop, but how the caller will come to know, how the programmer who is actually calling this function come to know whether your function module executed successfully till the end or your function module terminated in the middle. How do they come to know? That is called exception. We have to trigger one exception. By triggering the exception, when the exception triggered, two things will happen. Number one, the function execution will get terminated. That means whenever the exception triggered in your code, after that, whatever the remaining lines of code is there in your function module, that will not get processed. That will not get processed. So system is saving the time because exception raised. exception triggered. That means which is an unacceptable situation. I don't wanted my program to proceed further with that situation. So we are raising one exception. But the caller will not know whether function module executed till the end or it got terminated, interrupted in the middle of the execution. That they will come to know by using that corresponding exception number. So we can create multiple exceptions here. Those exceptions we can trigger at various conditions. Whichever exception is triggered, that exception number will go back to the caller in the name of SysABRC. By checking that SysABRC value, if the value is 1, first exception is triggered. If the value is true, second exception triggered. Like that, he will come to know the status of the function execution. Is it successfully done till the end or it got terminated in the middle? And even if it is terminated in the middle, because of which exception it got terminated, because of which exception it is discarded, that also he should know that. That number also will go back to him. This is actually the traditional approach. This is how exceptions we use to handle in the traditional way of coding. But now in ABAP, we have a concept called exception classes. So earlier exception handling, just only it is giving the name of that exception, nothing else more. Because of what reason it happened, because of what situation it happened, nothing. Just only that exception number will go back to the caller. From there, he will handle that. Okay, this is the exception, so he will change the value and something like that. But this is a classical, a very traditional way of exception handling. But in that place, we have a new way of exception handling by using classes. By using exception classes. Similar way, same situation. When your input is wrong, now here, instead of you raise an exception, you will raise an exception class. Exception class is a separate class which you are creating globally in SE24, and that classes will automatically get created from one of the standard sober classes. So whenever that exception class is triggered, the system will create one object of that class, object of that exception class. That object you will receive. And if you see the content of that object, you will come to know a lot of details about in which program that exception happened, at what line that exception happened, because of what reason that exception happened. All this information you can come to know by handling that exception object, by querying that exception object. Earlier, just only the number of the exception only used to come, but now instead of it is very flat. Instead of that, nowadays we are getting exception as exception object. Even in your function modules also, SAP has provided that option. Even SAP is recommending stop using this kind of exception handling. Instead of use the class-based exceptions. If you see there is a check mark there, classes check mark is there. Did you see that? Yeah, if you put that, then you will automatically able to handle these exceptions also by using the exception classes, by using the class-based exceptions. You put the check mark. You see the screen got changed here. We have to provide the exception classes to use exception-based handling. But anyhow, in our classes, in our programs, all the other exceptions we are handling by using exception classes and objects only. Even in all the standard SAP programs also are coded or modified accordingly to handle the exceptions by using exceptions objects only. First of all, let us remove that classes. Let us create some two small exceptions guys here. Or let me put like one exception number is negative, NEG. NEG. Enter. And second one is non-zero or zero, ZERO 0. Let's write another exception 0. Enter. And another value is like so like that you can create some number of exceptions. Any name you can give. So the user must give positive values. If the user give any one negative value, I don't want this function to run. So that time I'm raising an exception called NEG. And user should provide both values, so only positive numbers. So even 0 also should not be there. If there is any 0 in any one of that numbers, then I wanted to trigger the second exception, 0 exception. So like that, you can list out some number of exceptions here. Then go to your source code. In the source code, you will trigger that exception. So here at the bottom, you will check if write some condition. Write some code at the bottom. No, leave that part. Just at the come to line number 14. 14 or 15. Yeah. Yeah. Write some exceptions here. If I underscore V1. If I underscore V1 less than 0. Or I underscore V2 less than 0. Stop. Then I wanted to, if any one of that is less than 0, I wanted to raise one exception. What is that exception? Raise. What is that exception name? Full stop. And if. Similarly, my first value should be positive, guys. Even my first value can be 0 also, but the second value should not be 0. If the second value is 0, then immediately I wanted to raise another exception, but only when the second value is 0. For first value, it can be 0, I'm okay. But second value, I don't want 0. So let us write another condition. If I underscore V2, only second variable only I'm checking here is less than 0. Then raise a second exception. And if, so like that, you will do all the validations. If no exception is triggered, then your actual main code will run. So in the main code, you are adding both values and you're putting that in the exporting parameter. E underscore V3 equal to, let us add some additions. E underscore V3 equal to, E underscore V3 equal to I underscore V1 plus I underscore V2. So like that, you will write the code with you. So save it, check it, activate it. Now go to your program and call this function module in any of your test program.
We can
You want-
execute from here also, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. It is easy, even much easy. Let us execute it. So let us provide both positive values. Give both positive values, 10 and 20. Execute it. So no exception triggered. Scroll down. And we got the response also into E underscore V3. But let us see some exceptions to get triggered. So you provide any one of that value, negative value. No, come back. Run it. So this time, this is the system actually, you see, exception. That exception number you are getting. NEG. Which exception got triggered?
First one.
But in your program, but in your program, how do you come to know? If you call this function module in your program, how do you come to know that? Whether it is triggered by first exception or second exception, how do you know in your program?
Using Saisa-Barvin.
Yes. In Saisa-Barsi, if the Saisa-Barsi value is equal to 1, that is first exception. If Saisa-Barsi is 2, that is the second exception. So you see now, did you get the export parameter 30 here? No. Why 30 now? Minus 10 no? Minus 10 or 20, if both are added, you should get the output 10, right? Minus 10 no plus 20, if you add, the output should be 10. But did you get the exporting parameter 10 at the bottom? See the value?
No.
Why?
Rest of the code is not running. Yeah, the code is terminated in between.
Code terminated. That calculation not performed. Similarly, second way. But this is a very traditional way of exception handling, team, I just said. But instead of that, these exceptions now we are handling with very well sophisticated exception handling is introduced in the concept of exception classes. So that exception class we will trigger same like this only. Just we use the keyword called raise exception. Raise exception, that exception class name you have to write there. But before for that, you need to create some exception classes first. How do we create the exception class? Let us go to SE24. There are so many standard exception classes are provided that will be handed that are used by SAP programs, SAP frameworks. But if you wanted to create your own exception class also, then your exception class should start with ZEX exception. ZEX underscore CL underscore CL that exception class, no? CL underscore RAP underscore 02. Yeah, underscore RAP underscore 02. So this is going to be your exception class. Click on create. The moment you provided automatically, go there. So here, choose the second option, exception class. So these classes you will create separately. Yeah, let's provide some description. Sorry guys, not EX actually, sorry, CX. CX, let's maintain the class name. No, come back to main screen. Don't change here. Yeah. You type ZCX. That is the naming convention. Click on create. Go there. Automatically, by the name system is understanding, you are trying to create an exception class. You see, you did not provide anything, but it automatically choose an exception class. And all of your exception classes should get created from the superclass CX underscore static underscore check. That is the CX underscore static underscore check is the superclass for all the custom exception classes. You must use this class as a exception class. Continue. Click on save. So normally we don't create anything here. Lot of things are automatically derived into your exception classes from your superclass. And if you go to the properties, you can see that superclass also. All the custom defined exception classes are inherited from this superclass tip. And there are some predefined methods also, like get text, get info, go to methods. Those methods are more than enough for us to trace some information. Like you see, get text, get source position. All these methods we will use to know what is the error, why that error happened, in which program it happened. All that information we will handle through these exception objects. And these classes, this class you should use in your function modules, class methods, wherever you wanted to trigger the exceptions. there you should use this class, your exception class. You can use all the standard classes also, or you can create custom exception classes like this, and these also you can use. But for using these classes, you have to write the code little differently. I think you might have seen that in the standard codes. Try, catch, and try. Like that, you have to create a block of structure. There you have to call. Let us go to one program. SA38. So after you created this kind of exception classes, and after you have used these exception classes, let us go to your old program, any program. Go to change. Go to edit mode. So yeah, come down to the main program. Go to the startup selection program. Go to the last. Oh, that program not yet completed. Okay, anywhere you can. Anyhow, this is only for a demonstration. So let's put a try, try. Full stop. Enter. 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 Let us put a statement called catch. C-A-T-C-H, catch. Full stop. Enter. Enter. And end try. End try. No, END try. So this is how we have to handle the exception class system. Any function module, any class method, which is actually throwing that exception classes, you have to call that function module or that statement in the try block. In the try statement, you have to put whichever exception class that method or class is using, that exception we have to put it in the catch statement. And some corrective action. Finally, end try. This is how we have to handle exception class and exception object in our program. Normal exceptions, we don't have this kind of logic, this kind of structuring. But exception classes, we have to handle this way. I will give you one example on using that exception class, exception object. Some sample program I will share with you. You can test it out. So you will come to know how that is also working out. And definitely, practically, with so many of our upcoming scenarios, you will come to know about how do we use these exception classes also. So conceptually, I gave that overview on this subject. Eventually, by doing more practice, you will understand exception classes also well in detail. But this is the new one, and this is the recommended approach for handling the exceptions for your upcoming projects, applications, and everywhere. Okay, Tim, read it out. Read it more about exception classes also through some standard SAP help documentation. You will come to know many details over there. Okay, so with that, we will stop over here. And you continue completing that exercise of vehicle classes by using the global classes, and also execute the program source code by using the global classes. You create ABAP program, and instead of local classes, you use the global classes and execute the same output, same result over there also. Try out something on the exception classes as well.